Okay, time to get into it. The big moment, Green with Evil, the 5-part miniseries that introduces Tommy. Got back to watching it. Still incredibly awesome, to this day. There's a reason why Tommy is one of the, if not the most popular character in the series. And these episodes cemented pretty well. So I went through these 5 episodes, and then I did another 5 after to get a sense of what the show's like once Tommy's in there. Going over with Green with Evil, right off the bat, you introduce Tommy doing his kicks, right? Him and Jason have a tournament together, which ends in a draw, tied. And that perfectly sets Tommy up as someone you don't want to mess around with. The fact that him and Jason are tied right off the bat shows he's pretty awesome. Rita sending the putties to attack him, and he just jumps right into fighting them without hesitating. Once again, awesome. You gotta consider, again, this is early in the show, where pretty much all the Rangers were struggling with putties somewhat without being morphed, and Tommy just jumps into it without hesitation, so that really shows it. I think in terms of this 5-part series, the first episode and the last stand out the most, because then once Tommy gets the powers, he wipes the floor with the Rangers, jumps into the Megazord, completely humiliates them. Again, you see it all over like Instagram memes and stuff, like Green Ranger really just jumped inside the Megazord, stuff like that, and it's still pretty intense. The middle episodes is where you see Jason captured by Goldar, right, being held hostage. And I think in terms of these episodes, the characters that have the best moments is obviously Tommy being introduced, Jason and Billy. Jason, you see step up, being held by Goldar, fighting him without his morpher. Even though he has no chance, he still stays in it. Same thing when Tommy shows up as the Green Ranger, he still fights him without the morpher. So, once again, proves that Jason is not willing to back down. Even by the end of like the 4th episode, when everyone else is about to give up, he says the slightest chance means there's no point in giving up, something along those lines. So Jason, once again, really shows what he's made of in these episodes with the challenges he faces. Tommy, he gets the cool suit, the cool Zord, comes in, wipes everyone around, plenty of awesome moments. And again, it comes down to Jason David Frank just being as skilled as he is in martial arts. Again, between him and Austin St. John, you have even Jason and Tommy being the 2 most legit Rangers physically there. And it's interesting, again, how they didn't get along in real life, but the 2 characters work so well together. You get the Dragon Zord, which, again, it's not introduced in the 5th episode, so he doesn't even have the Dragon Dagger, right? No flute till the end. Scopina gets introduced. I think the most clunky part of these episodes, when she was introduced, attacks the Rangers. Goldar quickly calls her back. She's back, they're arguing, and then it jumps right into another fight along those lines. So that was just weird use of the Sentai footage. Billy obviously shows how important he is to the team when the command center is destroyed. He repairs Alpha, gets everything running again. So once again, without his brains, the team doesn't work as well. So he always plays a huge component for that part. Again, Jason staying strong, keeping the team going even when things aren't looking good. Overall, you can definitely tell the difference in tone with these episodes. It's Power Rangers, there's plenty of goofy stuff. But with this being the first multi-part of the series, you can tell they try to play it a little bit more serious, especially with the threat of the Green Ranger. Again, at this point, every episode has been a one-off episode where it's Monster of the Week, gets destroyed, problem solved. These 5 episodes did have that looming threat of the Green Ranger and Zordon not being able to be there for them. Heck, even when the Megazord falls apart, you definitely felt like pretty hopeless there. And when Jason finally defeats Tommy and they do the big long morph sequence, it's great. It takes forever. It's still super hyped up to this day. And then they show the Dragon Zord combining with Triceratops, Saber-Tooth Tiger, and Mastodon. Only for there to not even be a fight, but still incredibly enjoyable. Things to keep track of is the amount of times Jason and Tommy fight throughout these episodes, because the debate is always Jason or Tommy, which is still a tough one for me to call to this day. So, Jason and Tommy tie in the tournament, okay? So that's a tie. Tommy wipes the floor with them when he's first introduced, so that's a 1 win for Tommy. And then you get Tommy basically toying with Jason when he's held captured, but Jason doesn't even have the Morpher. It's not a fair fight. I mean, Tommy was winning, but we'll give it to him. We'll give it to him because Jason's just lucky he got out of there at that time. But definitely not a fair fight at all. But then you get Jason getting the final and most important win in destroying the Sword of Darkness, freeing Tommy. So I know they fight again in Zeo when Tommy's brainwashed again. So it's just kind of keeping track for that rivalry sense right there. But that's Green with Evil. It's huge. It's epic. Even as a kid, I don't know if I completely saw the whole thing, but I always knew of it. I always knew of the Green Ranger being evil in the beginning and just kicking everyone's butt right away. So even as someone who grew up with more so Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force, Wild Force, Ninja Storm as a kid, these 5 episodes were still somehow ingrained into my brain with me knowing the importance of them. So those are the Green with Evil episodes. Okay, going to the next episode where Tommy is a part of the team, Trouble with Shell Shock. Fun episode. I think good use of Sentai footage overall. I definitely enjoy how the fight ends with the Tyrannosaurus and Dragon Sword working together. Good change of pace right there. Things to take note of this episode is the whole team was pretty much incapacitated in some way besides Jason and Tommy, with Billy, Zach, and Kimberly being frozen, Trini being affected by the Go light, right? But she did go get the flower thing needed to free everyone. Keeping track of moments where the team has been incapacitated. Yeah, the whole team, besides Kimberly basically needing her to save them twice, right? This time she is one of the ones who needed to be saved by Jason, Tommy, and Trini, basically. I just like to keep track of those things, in terms of times where something happened to the Rangers where they would definitely be in trouble without their teammates. So in this case, Billy, Zach, and Kimberly definitely would have been completely done for if it wasn't for the rest of the team. And then we are now at the part where, because of the Sentai footage, Tommy has to have reasons not to be there all the time. Thankfully, these episodes, it was this and Itsy Bitsy Spider, right? Where he joins in at the end, and those went well. Once he shows up, it's wow, it's Tommy, let's go. But then the following episode, where it's Kimberly and the float, which I think is probably Rita's most petty plan in the whole series. The fact that she has to destroy Kimberly's float at the youth center is just beyond cheesy, campy, and petty on Rita's part. But that's the episode where Tommy has to stay behind, right? So they fight the monster, they retreat. Zordon sends the main five back out and says, Tommy, you have to stay behind just in case. That's where it shows, like, yeah, we don't have footage of the Green Ranger to use, so you just got to stay here as backup. Even so, when they call in Tommy to help at the end and the Dragon Zord comes up, still awesome. After that, we got, Life's a Masquerade, and then the Gung Ho episodes, those two I just did. Life's a Masquerade and Gung Ho, those are the Super Putty episodes. So you have the Super Putties, you have the Frankenstein monster, which is destroyed, but then in the following episode, he's in the background, so some editing problems there. The Zord fight with Frankenstein's monster lasted a good amount of time in that episode. And once again, Tommy couldn't join because he was busy fighting putties outside, so there's the reason for him to be late to the fight. And then I think the Gung Ho episode is definitely one of the standouts of the season. It introduces Titanus, builds upon the Jason and Tommy friendship, rivalry dynamic, especially since the actors didn't get along in real life. I think, again, this episode dedicated a lot of time to American footage of them in the gym training, once again showing off their abilities. And it's definitely cool just because this is the original Sentai footage where you're not going to get a lot of Green Ranger besides summoning the Dragon Zord. It was cool to see Jason and Tommy run up the hill fighting Titanus together, just to give the Green Ranger more to do at this point other than just stand there for the final fight with the Megazord. So that's what really makes that episode stand out for the Sentai footage. And then again, the final fight when they're back at the youth center for the ninja competition is a lot of fun, just showing off what Jason and Tommy can do without their powers. We are now at the point when you do have Jason and Tommy, so it's interesting having two definitely of alpha males in the group together, and just again how outside of the show there was tension. But again, it's one of those things where it's tough to decide which of those characters you like better. There's things about Jason, there's things about Tommy, but definitely you feel the presence in the early seasons of Mighty Morphin, Zeo, Turbo, and it's just a nice rock to have when you have the leader there that is that guy that you do not want to mess with. And both Jason and Tommy are definitely that guy where, again, watching the show 30-something years later, it's okay, I don't want to mess around with these guys for real. So they give that energy off where they're legit. So those are a few episodes after Tommy's introduced. I know there's one episode where he gets tied up by putties, and that drives me insane. But so far, the reasons why Tommy hasn't joined the fight right away hasn't been too bad, too distracting, nothing that makes him look pathetic or lame. So far, it's been, okay, Tommy's tied up with something, he hops in and cleans up for the most part, and I'm all for it. So yeah, that's what I have to say about the first 5 episodes after Tommy's part of the team.